started with intros. Um, everyone that's here can hear and chat, right? Sam, I haven't heard from you, and Moyen, I haven't heard from you.
Testing.
Testing 1, 2, 3 for me too.
Hallo.
There we go. All right, so welcome to the Whispers in the Well Game Dev main stage. I'm Richelle Brady at Ravensburger, Global Community Engagement Manager, and my job is putting this stuff together, giving you guys chances to kind of look behind the curtain and talk with the team and get to see a little bit more about what goes into the game. And to help me with that, I have content creators here just to kind of help get discussion along and have questions and things like that. Um, so this time, it's Katie from the Lorekeeper's Inn, Kawa from Podcana, and Moyen from Podcana. Or wait a second, there was a change with Podcana recently, right?
I don't recognize this guy.
Oh,
there he
right,
is.
because he's Rav Moyen now.
Rav Moyen. There
Just
he
wanted
is.
to kind of give a shout out at the start of this that Moyen has joined the team at Ravensburger. What's it been like so far?
No, I've been super happy. There's like so much that I had to leave behind to do this, and I still was always sure that this is what I wanted to do. It's kind of I know for the longest time people keep telling you throughout your life, maybe you can't work your dream job or you can't do what you always wanted to do, but this is what I always wanted to do. I'm so happy I finally get to do it as a full-time job.
We're really happy to have you here.
I miss you, buddy.
Though
It's like you can still hear his voice.
we're really happy to have you here, though I also don't want to leave you on here too long just because we're going to get into discussions of game dev things that you weren't here yet for. So hopefully in the future, I can have you and Kawa on together where you're sharing things you worked on.
Yeah, well, I'm very much looking forward to it, and I to the community that's saying they miss me, I miss you too, and I can't wait to reconnect at some events in the future.
Well, thank you for joining for that little bit of intro. I know that you're busy, so I don't want to keep you here too long.
Bye bye.
Later.
That was a good
Bye,
reveal. I
Moyen.
like.
Bye.
So from the game dev team, there's Lukas Litzsinger, who's the game design manager at Ravensburger, and Sam Johanson, Ravensburger lead game developer. If you guys want to take a moment to say hi.
I'm Lukas. Good to be back on the main stage. I think this is my second time here, so really excited to talk some Whispers in the Well. Set 11, which is the next set, was actually the first set I led, but I was involved in set 10. And so I am happy to kind of talk through some of the decisions that we made as a team and to hype it up a little bit because the set is awesome, in my opinion. I am a little bit biased, though.
Hello, I'm Sam Johanson, lead game developer for Ravensburger, and this was my first set that I led game development on, and I'm super proud of it. I'm super happy that everyone is very excited to see these new cards. So happy to talk about them.
So yeah, getting into things. Obviously, Whispers in the Well being the title of the set and this a big part of the story and the artwork and all of that and the gameplay. A big part of the gameplay was adding a new mechanic that the Whispers are involved with. Um, so there's Boost, obviously, that we talked about or that we've revealed during the Lorecast, and we've seen on a bunch of cards already. Um, they kind of work in different ways with the Whispers in this set. Uh, so I have a few different examples of them, but first there is these versions of them where it's while a card is under them, they do something. Could you guys talk a little bit about more boost in general, and then I guess we can go through the different types of boost?
Yeah, so Boost was a really neat collaboration where we internally call it the DNA team, design narrative art. Like we all got together and we were kind of firing on all cylinders to come up with, what the creative for the set was going to be and how it would actually be shown in design narrative and art. And so I feel like the Whispers are just a perfect example of the power of collaboration across departments, because we got amazing art. We even got sweet frame treatments for them. We have a new keyword boost that the game design team contributed, and we also have like really interesting narrative around like why there are whispers and why they're like torn from lore book pages. And so it's really neat to kind of see it all come together. And from the design and dev perspective, kind of the first time it really feels real is when you see the final art on the card. And then the second time it feels real is when you like hold it in your hand and you're actually like playing it live with other players. So I'm still looking forward to that second time that this feels real to me. But Boost was really a labor of love from the entire team, and so many people are, part of the journey of this keyword. Sam, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe the gameplay?
Yeah, so Boost is a really interesting mechanic where you can pay an amount of ink to put the top card of your deck under that character. And as you can see with these two, these are characters that only need one card under them, but sometimes you'll have characters that have boost that want multiple cards under them. So we have a few of those. Boost is only once per turn, so you're going to take the top card of your deck, put it under that character. Just like Shift, if that card leaves the field, it's going to, and let's say it goes to the hand, the card under it would go with it as well. Same to Inkwell.
Hades, watch out.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hades
And
now is a downside. His ability, is there a downside to this?
Yes,
We
finally.
might have
Go ahead.
answered that.
yeah, we really felt like we wanted, the cards underneath to follow the same rules established by the cards that you shift on top of. So we want to make sure we have consistency with how the rules are applied, whether it's a face down or a face up card. It is a card under. And so you will also see, I believe, that clarification in the set notes. We don't want it to just be, kind of tribal knowledge if you happen to watch the Discord main stage. And so now Kyle and the team do an amazing job with set notes. So you will see the rulings around what happens when you bounce it to hand and put it into your inkwell in the set notes for this set. But yeah, it was really important for us to have that consistency of gameplay, and it does lead to some really cool moments where things happen that you might not have expected.
Yeah, we just have a question in the chat. People are just also wanting to clarify if a card gets discarded or banished rather, and sent to the discard pile, the boost card is revealed, correct? Right? You don't have like this, these because the discard
Mhm.
is public knowledge, right? So it's not like you'll have some cards that
Mm.
are face down and the rest are face up.
That's a great question. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's the same thing with, or a similar thing with cards like Under the Sea. If a card goes to the bottom of the deck that has face down cards under it, you will randomly choose where those cards go, rather than knowing what they are.
Now, one thing that's interesting that I've kind of is there's cards that are boost like once and it's a perennial, it's been boosted, but there's cards that you're boosting multiple times. During testing, was there a record for how many times a card was boosted,
That's
or
a great question.
how did that go for you guys?
Well, it kind of depends on card to card.
Mhm.
Little John here often ends up with a lot of cards under him,
Yeah.
because you can imagine why. But those cards that only want one under them, generally you would only continue boosting them if you're playing against, like, let's say a Sapphire deck. To give their Hades a downside. If they have to ramp you for 3 to get rid of your Aerial, that's kind of a tough spot for them to be in.
Sure. I think this this Little John that you guys pointed out is one of my favorite boost cards that I've seen so far. And I think it's interesting the different costs that you guys have assigned amongst them, right? We've seen some boost ones, some boost twos, and some boost threes, and obviously this ability for Little John is super strong. So I've already been looking at ways to see how can I utilize some of the other newly revealed cards to synergize with this. So I know there's like the Emerald item, and there's also an Amber item that the Emerald one is when it comes into play, you can put a card underneath a character that has boost from the top card of your deck, and then the Amber one is you can pay winning to banish it to do the same. So I kind of like the idea of maybe setting up a few of those Amber items, and then at one stage saying, okay, let me like boost this John to kind of finish the game, turn it sideways a couple of times. So I'm very excited to try out a Little John Emerald Amber deck for sure.
I will say
Well,
that boost 1, 2, and 3 all play like very differently. Like obviously, like
Mhm.
boosting by paying 3 ink is a lot more than boosting by paying 1 ink. It is much more common that you'll have 1 ink lying around on your turn and you decide you might want to boost something if you don't have anything else to do with it. But 2 and then especially 3, like you're kind of creating a game plan around using it. And so it's really interesting just how, it's only one number difference, but in a card game, one number makes a huge difference, and you will see that play out with these boost costs.
Oof. She scares me.
And they,
I got
kind of going
actions.
through them, that those first ones, they had like when a card is under them, they get something. That second one was whenever you boost, they do something. And then this one is even more, you know, when she quests, if you boosted this, or if you put a card under her this turn, so not necessarily even boost, play an action with 5 or less from discard for free. Obviously a really powerful payoff, but like way more restrictive than the other ones. I guess what went into determining like kind of the levers or the dials that you had to turn for like for boost.
So the key part of this card's development was we quickly realized that the play pattern of a card that can repeatedly, every single turn, let's say, whenever she quests, play, let's say, Dragonfire from the discard and banish a character. It can be very campy, and it ends up being not very fun gameplay if she never exposes herself by turning herself sideways. So we made sure that we wanted to make it a quest ability. So that way the player would have to choose when to use it, expose it to the opponent. The opponent would have some counterplay, and there'd be a game to be played rather than just me taking out or banishing all of your characters over the course of however many turns. So that is the biggest reason that this card has this text specifically, because we wanted it to be able, or we wanted it to force itself to expose.
Yeah. We're looking at you, Prince John.
Yeah, I was literally about to
Exactly.
say it's the idea of that. So I think that sounds like a fantastic way, and like that's something that you explore a lot, Sam. Right? Is like with being the lead developer is basically, I assume, once you get a lot of these cards from design, right? Like making sure to play with them as much as possible, see if there is that counterplay. So I think that's super interesting. The differences, right, as Richelle was talking about, the different levels, right? So some of these boost cards is whenever you boost, some is if they have a card beneath them, and then even this one is you have to put the card under this specific turn, not just if there's a card under it in general. So I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I will say there is one type of effect that you don't see that you could maybe come up with as to how we are using boost, and that goes back to like, oh, how many cards have you seen under a card? Obviously, sometimes you get a payoff every turn for doing it, but you don't see any effects that actually care about the number of cards underneath, and that was very intentional. That was something we did not want to explore in the first set that we introduced boost, but maybe you will see it in the future.
Well, that's at the chat we had somebody bring up boost is the future of boost. Is this just a spooky mechanic for Whispers in the Well? But it sounds like this is going to be something that we will see in future sets based on what you said.
Yeah, so I think it's like the name itself is a little bit telling in that, Boost was something that we had a lot of conversation about. And I mean, Richelle, I believe even you were in on that conversation. Like, we really want to get a holistic view whenever we name a keyword, and we want to make sure, like, the players are going to respond to it well. So we talk to marketing, we talk to narrative. Like, it's a group effort to figure out what we want to name this keyword. But from a design standpoint, we knew that we really liked this keyword. Well, correction. We knew that after we fixed the keyword, we really liked it. So let me actually go back and tell a fun little story about how game design and development works. It's an iterative process. And so actually, the first version of Boost was not the version of Boost that you see here on this card. It was a little bit different in that you actually had to take the card from your hand instead of from the top of your deck. And so the idea, again, was kind of like in the same way that you ink a card into your inkwell, you had to ink these glimmers in order to restore them to their full power. And like that was a very like thematic idea that we were really attached to, but it just didn't play very well. So like once dev got, their hands onto it, it's like the cost is too high. Like basically giving up a card from your hand is something you almost never want to do. It's just very, very costly. And so we had to take a step back and be like, okay, like we really like the flavor of that. Is there some other way to get the flavor of like pouring ink into these cards in order to restore them? And it's like, okay, well, we can charge you lots of ink. We can charge you 3 ink, but you get the card off the top of your deck. And so that's kind of how like Boost was developed over the course of a couple of months. And the dev team gave us really good feedback on how it was playing, and it was missing the mark. And so it was collaborative in that aspect as well. But once we found the version of Boost that we really like, which is this version here, we knew that we would probably want to use it again in the future. And so we wanted to make a name for it that could be a little bit more generically applicable to other cards rather than just Whispers. And that's why it is called Boost.
That's literally the question I was about to ask, is will we see Boost only on with, like, if Boost is in future sets, then does that mean we see Whispers? But I assume we can see Boost on other cards as well.
Yes,
Cool.
you may see that in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, and one of the things that we wanted to make sure with the naming of Boost was that, like Lukas said, that it could apply to other things. Meaning, like, this is an ability that you're doing as an Illumineer. You're boosting the Whisper, you're boosting the Glimmer to do something to it, to, in this case, to make them whole, right? But that doesn't mean that that couldn't apply to something else in the future. So it's kind of a fun way of like showing your ability as a player, as an Illumineer, interacting with glimmers.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Because I mean, it's something where you see boost, but you don't have to. It's like the evolution of the go-go Tomago, as I have learned, is that, it's up to the player as far as timing it and when it is most advantageous. So I'm very excited to see how that plays out in some of these decks that they'll be built into.
So we're gonna take a little bit of a step back, per se, to kind of talk a little bit more about rotation again. But now that it's, this isn't a reprint set, you guys have really been able to kind of, I think, we'll see obviously how it plays out in the meta, but this set definitely feels like it reestablishes things. And one of the things that people had picked up on pretty quickly was the difference even in the vanilla cards.
They're big. These are big.
Slight difference there. You have Monstro on the right from a couple of sets ago. That is a 5-cost inkable, 5 strength, 6 willpower, 1 lore character. And then on the left, you have the Cauldronborn, 5-cost inkable, 6 strength, 7 willpower, and 1 lore. And yeah, this is something that we did very intentionally with set 10, is we took a look at what we call the vanilla curve and we readjusted it. And I will say that from like a player expectation standpoint, I do think that like the beginning of rotation and when we rotate is generally the correct time to do this sort of reevaluation of what's working and what's not working. However, we decided, because Fabled was such a reprint heavy set, that we actually wanted to wait until set 10 to do the refactoring, because it would feel very strange to have these reprints that we really like kind of right next to kind of our new philosophy of what a vanilla card looks like in the same set. And so we wanted Fable to be a celebration of the first 4 sets that we're rotating out and bring those cards back. But we also wanted to reestablish what it means to be a vanilla card in our game and to have them see a little bit more play. And so this is a great example. You'll also see other cards at different spots on the curve. I will say, generally, the higher up you go, the more expensive the card is. The more apparent it becomes, because you get a little bit more since those cards are harder to play. But you'll see it even a little bit lower on the curve as well.
I think this is super cool because it, for me as a player personally, makes sealed and draft super interesting and super fun. Where, like, if I get Cauldron Born, I'm probably picking this over maybe even a potential legendary or super rare if I think this is just a super solid card for the stats. So I'm personally very excited not only to play Core Constructed, but also just get some sealed and draft on. Like, did you guys feel like it played well when testing that format? Not like, not that you specifically tested for it, but I'm sure these cards felt a lot more powerful compared to previous sets.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
were testing limited, it was very apparent that the new cost curve was affecting that, and it was fun. I mean, it's always great to play a very expensive character and feel like you did just that. Feel like you really impacted the board by playing, let's say, the 5 cost vanilla character rather than the 5 cost ability character. Because normally in competitive play, you don't see a lot of vanillas for good reason. I mean, they don't have cool abilities, they don't affect the board in an interesting way, and that's okay. It's always fun to have these moments when you get to use like let's take Cauldronborn for example here, a 6 strength 7 willpower character, and just he can do a lot. He can challenge, he can quest without being contested. Not that he's questing for much, but you get the point.
Yeah, I mean, if he's challenging, good luck stopping him using a challenge on his. Or once he quests, it's scary with that 6/7 stat line. So
Yeah.
now we mentioned limited, and that's very exciting. So we're starting to get more towards those conversations. So this set, I think it's like next set, we're going to be more into the limited world, but this is when people are going to start talking about it more. As we saw in Worlds, it's a part of the format that the players had to use.
Yeah, limited is really important to us. We think it's a great way to kind of level the playing field and to also just allow different skills, deck building skills, to kind of come to the forefront in a way that Constructed doesn't. And so we are excited to kind of start making sure our sets play a little bit better in limited. So set 10 is definitely a step toward that. I think 9 is a pretty good limited set, but 10 kind of epitomizes some of the things that we're beginning to do, and we really kind of, I think, come into our stride with set 11. And I will say the first one is just like testing limited more during the development process. Like the majority of our testing is for constructed play, but starting in set 10, we really decided we wanted to focus a little bit more on testing for limited as well, and making sure that these cards have a variety of uses across all of our formats. And so I think that's honestly like a really, really big deal for us. And that's something that you'll see moving forward, is we do put more of a focus on that limited play, whether it's sealed or draft or even pack rush. Like pack rush is a great limited format as well, and we do want to make sure that you have a good experience cracking packs and throwing them against each other. And so I think that in this set you'll see more draftable themes that come through, whether it's detectives or boost, and then you'll also see better vanillas that will just see the board more across limited formats.
I think even within constructed, we'll see some of these cards. Yeah, I mean, we can just see Lexington, right? Now, this isn't an example of a vanilla card. However, we did see the Amber Bagheera, which is a 3-cost inkable 4/4 that just quests for 1. As well as we've seen one within Steel, that's a 2-cost inkable 3/3. So these are stat lines that previously would have come at a premium. Maybe they'd have to be uninkable, or something like Calhoun's probably the best example, right? Where you can kind of consider that like a 2-cost 3/3, with an additional ability. But this card, Lexington, I think is super solid, not only for the stat line, but then also for this new alert keyword. So I'd love to hear you guys talk about this a little bit, and also um, I would like to have it heard from you guys. But a lot of the community keep talking about, oh, isn't this the same as evasive on your turn? Will they reprint some of those cards to have alert? I think, well, I know it's not the same. There's a big difference, but I would like to hear maybe your philosophy on moving into the future. I think some people think, oh, maybe they'll just do alert cards now, or will they still do evasive on your turn? So curious about how alert came about.
Yeah, so alert came about because we did notice that we were doing a lot of during your turn, this character gains evasive effects enough where we started having conversations about, is this something that we think we want in every set? And if so, like how many cards do we want? Because whenever you're introducing a keyword, especially one in a set that already has a new keyword, like we do care a lot about the complexity of the game and making sure that we're not throwing too much into any one set, so that everything we do put in feels very intentional and kind of has the space to breathe. But we noticed that we were doing it a lot, and we did feel, especially for limited play in particular, that we really wanted to have answers to evasive that weren't evasive themselves in every set. And so we decided to explore making it a keyword. And I will say one of the hardest things after we did this was actually coming up with with what we called it alert. Again, a very collaborative process with a lot of different stakeholders to figure out, what is the right word to make it feel like an anti-evasive keyword, and what does evasive mean in our game, and what does like kind of striking back against evasive means in our game. Like evasive has a lot of different meanings and uses on cards and creative, and so we needed something that was very flexible in return. But once we decided that we wanted that ability for limited play and to be what we call more evergreen, and that like you'll just see it a lot, it was pretty easy to make the transition from during your turn this character has evasive over to alert. And that's something that you will see in the future is more alert and less to 0 of during your turn this character has evasive, because during your turn this character has evasive is actually not all that intuitive, because it is meant to actually prevent evasives from questing and allow you to fight back. But it actually, by giving them evasive, it means interactions with like Dumbo or Peter Pan, Shadow Finder, are actually powering up your cards that are meant to fight back against evasive. And that was not really the intent. That's not really what we want those cards to do. We don't want them to go into an evasive deck. We want them to go into a deck where you are thinking about fighting back against evasives. And so it was really important for us to kind of find the words that still worked from a rules perspective, but meant that these cards do not gain evasive, because that has gameplay ramifications.
Very excited for the Dumbo deniers out there. This is big news. Now, is this one? Some of the questions I've seen, and is this the end of the evasive, or rather, will we still see that as alert or replacement, or will there be cards in the future that behave like with Happy or Genie Satisfied Dragon? Will we see things like that in the future?
I wouldn't say you'll never see it, but like we would have to have a really good reason to do it. And so like again, we don't really like some of the play patterns that line of text necessarily gives you. And so it's a card game. We hope to make a lot of sets. There's always a reason to do things you say that you probably won't do. But I would say the odds of it coming back anytime soon are very low, and you'll see a lot more of these alert characters moving forward.
So I'm gonna jump in with there's a couple of combos that Kawa had brought up of like cards that he was interested in now that there is this new set and the rotation and all that. This first one.
Yeah. So, people have been talking about like board wipes and stuff. But this is a super cool new combo, which involves the new Emerald Song, which is a 3-cost inkable song, which is malicious, mean, and scary. So the combo that you want to do is you want to pair this with the 3-cost inkable Prince Philip that has Ward. That's the 3/2 and then Quest for 2. So you can sing malicious, mean, and scary with that Prince Philip, and then you can for 6 shift this 9-cost Prince Philip onto it to kind of clear the board, which reminds me a lot of kind of the shift Sisu that we used to see, where you've kind of ended up clearing most of your opponent's board, and you're left with this kind of clock, right? You're left with this big character that can quest for 3. So yeah, I just think it's super interesting. I wonder how much we'll see it. I actually think that this is a pretty strong combo. But I also think there's enough counterplay to it personally. You know, we have Ursula Deceiver that's able to discard songs. So in my opinion, it's important that the cards like that exist to kind of check potential combos like this, and not even just combos like this, but it's the same to have Ursula against cards like Under the Sea. But I don't know. I'm glad that we see this Prince Philip like kind of come to fruition. Previously we
Yeah.
saw some combos that you would do Chief Bogo with this Prince Philip to kind of clear the board, which was cool. But I kind of like how this is all in one Emerald package, so that you can pair that with a different ink. It doesn't have to be one specific deck, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Chief Bogo combo was absolutely menacing. And it is very fun because now you're not locked into Emerald Steel, where we saw that Emerald Steel felt like you had to be like, well, I guess I have to do some discard stuff while I'm here. And now it's just you can pair it with any of the other inks versus feeling like you have to work with the synergy that it was built into. So this is very exciting and scary, but exciting.
I think it
And
works
you're
best with blue green though, to be
Oh
fair,
yeah.
because there's a cool combo you can do where if you ramp onto a Tipo or Sail, and then the next turn you do Sail into establishing the Prince Philip, and then on turn 4 you can shift this Prince. There's very specific cards, but it is something we see played within blue green at the moment. So I'm excited to potentially see it.
Yeah, and kind of like with the rotation now, you're like doing a little bit of work to get some board wipes back, right? Like it's
You
not
have to build it.
it's
You
not
have
as
to
clear
construct
cut
it.
as before.
Yep.
That
So
is true. I know that there was a lot of discussion with Fabled Insight 9 and like where is Be Prepared, where is our board wipe, and we're like, okay, that is something that we feel like is important. I think I talked about it in the last main stage. It is coming. Obviously, we have seen all the cards in set 10. You will see combos like this, which kind of give you a bit of that board wipe back, but it is not our actual official answer to when is the next board wipe. I'm sorry that you will have to wait a little bit longer, but it is coming. So you will see an actual board wipe along the lines of Be Prepared. The next time.
oh, okay.
Baker is somewhere. He's like, what song am I singing? What am I doing?
Yeah, Baker's like, what's the new tagline?
Please.
And
And then one
yeah,
more combo, yeah, for Infinity this time.
yeah. So this is a funny combo, which involves Monstro and the Jafar Striking Illusionist, and then the new Great Illuminary location. So this is an Infinity combo. It's important to point that out. But basically, it's also an infinite combo, which is cool. Which is the idea is you can exert your Monstro to draw a card, discard that card, ready him, exert Monstro, draw a card, discard it, ready, while you have an exerted Jafar on the board, which then means you can basically draw as many cards as you need to win the game. So very funny combo, very silly combo, but I personally think this is the type of stuff that I like to see in Infinity. I like to see decks get a little bit crazy, a little bit wild. And so this also is not very easy to pull off, right? I don't think this should be very easy to pull off, but if you can do it, it's a very cool, maybe like alt win condition. Maybe your deck still has to be decent at its core game plan, but this is like, oh, maybe if I happen to assemble this combo, I'll win. So yeah.
An important shout out. Definitely, if you ever hear anyone say there's an infinite combo, look at it because there was a infinite combo in set 3, I believe, with Sherwood Forest and Sherwood Nottingham, and I saw this image and I was like, one day this will matter. And then I was looking at it, I was like, what do I need to blow up to make this combo not happen? So these are always very fun, and they don't come up until they do, and then it's too late. So study it now before it's too late.
I think it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
is
it'll
interesting
happen.
that while we have 3 cards on the screen, the 2 cards on the left, even if you're not gaining lore while going through your deck, you can use that to kind of scry, search, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it, filter your deck for a specific card. So the 2 cards on the left are core constructed legal,
Yep.
but if you do want to get to that lore threshold and not care about what you're actually drawing, you do need Jafar and you do need to play Infinity. And we do think Infinity is going to be really fun to just see what people bake and come up with. And it's going to be a higher powered format. There's going to be more combos, but I think that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
So talking more about just things that have been revealed so far, um, going through pretty quickly for each, but the legendaries that we've seen so far, we haven't seen all of them yet. There's I think 3 left. But first off,
We get to see. Oh,
That
I
one is oof.
love this card. Granted, I think in the current meta that we have for set 9, I think it's maybe a little bit slow, but I can envision this card if we have maybe more of a just like mid-range control focused meta where the value you get off of this card is like insane. But then also, again, it's important that there's enough counterplay to it that you can banish it with something like a Benja or a Fred. Lukas, I'd love to ask you. I assume it's again a similar thing, which we just talked about with Boost. If the Black Cauldron is banished and there are some cards within the Black Cauldron, are they also sent to the discard pile?
Yes, they're also sent to the discard pile, but it does mean that if you find something else to do with the Black Cauldron, the cards underneath it would follow wherever the Black Cauldron goes. But obviously, as an item, it's a little bit harder to interact with than a character, which is one reason why this sort of repeatable value engine is quite good. And I do think that this card, like just the ability to get multiple characters underneath it from your discard, is pretty nuts. And then you can kind of build up to that big turn and exert it and play all of them. And yeah, I will say, like, you are investing a lot in this, but when it goes off, like it really goes off, and it can win you the game. I think this was one of the cards that we really enjoyed testing. Sam, any thoughts on the Black Cauldron?
Yeah, Black Cauldron is a fantastic card, not only from design, it's super top down and makes a lot of sense to be the Black Cauldron, but also when you play with it, it's great. It's a card that rewards skillful play, planning out. I mean, as anyone who reads this card can see, this card is a card that requires you to plan out in like 2 or 3 turns in advance. It's you're not going to get that character for a while, and sometimes it's even better to stack up 2, 3, 4 characters under that before you take 1 turn to play all of them. Obviously, depending on cost. So I think this card's awesome. I think it'll see a good amount of play. Maybe even when we get some new cards in Winter Spell. But yeah.
Ooh.
It is exciting to see. We talk about playing from your hand, but then we have playing from your discard. Now we have playing from your cauldron. So it's exciting to see these zones evolve. And like you said, it's going to be a skillful thing because you need to be more mindful of more resources in different ways that we haven't before.
So the next one, we've talked a lot about this card, but anything you guys want to add real quick?
I think Demona's quite an interesting card. Her ability is very powerful just to be able to exert so many characters. I'm curious to figure out what type of deck it fits into. I think people will immediately think, oh, like there's Sapphire Amethyst running around at the moment, and currently the 6-drop slot or 6-cost slot isn't occupied extremely well. It kind of has things like TikTok and stuff at the moment. However, the downside of the Stone by Day ability, if you're playing a deck that's drawing a lot of cards, it's it's a tricky balance. So I think this is a super powerful card, but I am intrigued to see what type of decks it makes its way into.
Yeah, definitely knowing that people love second star to the right, and this is a little counterplay there. So I do like seeing cards that check other powerful cards in the same ink color, so that no ink color hopefully becomes too powerful.
Yep, it's definitely. Oh, sorry.
Hades is here, everybody.
You're good. You're good.
I,
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say my favorite part about Demona is that I think she's just a fantastic card to play with, and also like I love the impact she has on the board if your opponent has a bunch of gargoyles in play. Putting them to 3 cards in hand so their gargoyles don't ready, as well as exerting those characters. It feels super flavorful. It plays super fun. It's great all around. So we can go to Hades now.
There he is. There's a guy.
Yeah, I think Hades, to me, when I first read this card, when we saw the iconic, I think this is a fantastic card. And I have to say, the design, in my opinion, is very well done. Usually, what I feel like can happen with these types of cards, where you present an opponent with 2 options, usually these types of cards aren't always so good because one option is usually worse for the player, so that's the option that will be chosen. But in this case, it's like, okay, either I remove a specific character, which is pretty powerful, or if they say, no, I want to keep my character, I draw 2 cards. And like drawing 2 cards on a 3/4 body that quests for 1, I think is super, super solid. So I think we're going to be seeing Hades in quite a few decks.
Yep.
How is this one to design, Lukas? I'm sure this was interesting. Would you agree with the point that I said that it's some of those cards, if you're presented with 2 options, it's tricky to get those cards right.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is tricky because, as you said, usually only one option will be chosen, or, it feels hard to actually make the options feel more 50-50. And I don't know if we necessarily got to 50-50, but we try to make sure that when we do give the opponent an option, that it feels like a real choice and like it's actually a bit of a decision, and it's not just going to be like 100% slam this option, or even 90-10. Like, we want to be somewhere in the middle ground. It's okay to not be 50-50, but, like, 7 out of 10 times, and then maybe the other 3 times you're like, actually, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't, let you draw cards here or whatnot. Like, I do think, again, the ability to put an ability like this on Hades is just like really fun, because, like, what is a better character to be scheming and to be offering your opponent a deal than Hades himself. And so it's really fun when we can kind of do this top-down design of like, well, what do we want Hades to be doing? And it's like, well, we want him to be feeling like Hades, and we want him to be scheming, and we want him to be looking for an edge. And you might think it's a really good deal to be like, I'm going to keep my character and you can draw 2 cards. And, that's a really fun moment when those 2 cards actually come back to bite you later.
That must feel so good when it's like the Kronk. Oh yeah, it's all coming together when you have it, all of it gels into a card like this. Oh, there's so much DuckTales. DuckTales is a surprise hit of this set. I didn't see the DuckTales coming, but the DuckTales are coming in full force in this set.
Yeah, this legendary Webby is quite interesting. I just finished talking about the 1 cost when I recorded our podcast yesterday, and I think the 1 cost is actually super good. I think it can be played in a lot of Amber Emerald decks. It combos quite well with the lady from set 8, but this card is pretty good against decks that like to place lots of get lots of ink quite early. So like a good play pattern or a good play line for this is if you're on the draw, if you're going second and then they do their turn 2 ramp, you can shift Webby, and yeah, you can get a pretty decent advantage out of it. It's a 2/4 body for 2, then basically Quest for 2 has ward, super solid. And of course, with the shift 2, it could combo well with, I don't know, maybe there's some cool 4 cost songs. Like, that's something that's always important to note as well with these Floodborne cards, is not only are you getting a character that just has like better stats for the cost, but maybe you can sing something a little bit earlier. So I'm curious to see if there are any elements of that compare nicely with maybe some 4 cost songs for Webby.
It's also interesting. I mean, it's so exciting to know because I mean, the meta, evolves. I mean, as we saw in set 7, where it was pick what you're putting with Sapphire. It's fun to see a card like this that obviously is going to prey very heavy on if the set starts to favor Sapphire too heavily. And suddenly you have your own little Sapphire tricks up your sleeve, which is very fun.
Yeah, I think you did note something important there, where it's like this card is a little bit better on the draw, and that's definitely something we're interested in exploring. And I believe we've already spoiled the Angel from set 11, so obviously,
yes.
obviously, it's something that we do want to recognize, which is, in pretty much every game in across history, going all the way back to chess, going first is usually a slight advantage, and so kind of like finding ways to like design around that slight advantage and find interesting options for players who decide that they want to, make a move going on the draw or going second, is actually like really fun. And I think like that can be part of your deck building choice is, how do you want your deck to perform when you are going first and when you are going second? You already have to make a lot of different mulligan or altering choices when you're going first versus going second. And so we thought it would be interesting if you also were making some deck building choices to go along with that as well.
Yeah,
We'll
like
talk
some other
more
people have
about
already
that in
touched on
set
here.
11. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, sorry. Like some other people have already touched on here for this card. Very good against Sapphire in 2 ways. The obvious way is that it wants your opponent to have more ink than you. Sapphire generally has a lot of ink. That's great, but the ward is very important on this card. Not only in the early game for maybe keeping them off of certain effects that they might have at like 4 or 5, but in the late game too, you'll find a top deck Webby will get you out of so many sticky situations where you're getting pressured by Hades and Elsa's and all of the many targeted, I guess, removal pieces that we see the Blurple decks playing right now. So this card is going to be fantastic. I expect to see this in a lot of lists.
This one was just revealed this morning.
Yeah, this is a legendary Hercules, 4-cost uninkable 5/3 that quests for 2, the Mighty Leader. And he says this character can't be dealt damage unless he's being challenged. But while he's exerted, your other hero characters can't be dealt damage unless they are being challenged. So it's super interesting. It's kind of like Ward in a sense, but not really Ward.
Yes.
And I kind of like that element of how you can put that on a Ruby card, right? Because Ward isn't a keyword, I believe, so far we've seen on Ruby cards in general. But I like how once this is exerted, it kind of, gives his ability to all of the other hero cards. And I hope this sees some play. This set Ruby hasn't been performing too well, so I'd like to hear maybe from Lukas or Sam. Is there any like cool decks you'd recommend playing Hercules in? Like maybe off the top of my head, like Ruby Steel is kind of cool because you get a lot of like hero synergy in that deck.
Yeah, I think this card is a great card to include in any deck that you're kind of feeling has a maybe a poor matchup into a steel deck. So this character can't be dealt damage unless he's being challenged. Does protect you from steel's actions that would choose him to deal damage, such as Strength of a Raging Fire, or Along Came Zeus was one that we had in the past. And yeah, I mean, obviously you want to include him with a bunch of hero characters so they can get the same thing. But like you were saying, he's great in a challenge deck as well because he's going to prevent all your heroes from from getting damage while they're being challenged too. Yeah.
He's also really good with any ready effects you have. So even if you decide that you just want Hercules as a little bit of a package without the hero stuff, like you challenge into something, and then rather than leave him turn sideways to get challenged back into, you just play a ready effect and turn him back upright. So you protect him and get ready to go again in the next round.
Awesome. Yeah, there's just some clarification in the chat there as well that Hercules can't be dealt damage, but damage can still be put or moved onto him. So if there's something like a bell to move damage counters, that is still a way to get around
Correct.
Hercules effect.
Yep.
Now this card was very exciting, knowing that this is the first card where we get to interact with our opponent's inkwell, kind of with this exerting effect, right? Or
It is the first time that cards will enter your opponent's ink while
Yeah.
exerted, and obviously like this really disrupts plans, and so that's why I mean I think this is actually a pretty powerful card, but it is a little bit higher up the curve. You can obviously uh use it pretty effectively. I will say this is kind of the opposite of the Webby in that like Daisy is actually better going first because you're able to get to an ink threshold and then put her down. And so that's something that I think you'll definitely want to keep in mind when playing with or against Sapphire, is taking into consideration what to do if your opponent is actually playing Daisy or drops like a Daisy shift target onto the board early.
Yeah, I think
Alex.
turn one Daisy into Tipo or Sail into Shift Daisy seems pretty good, but I also like that it's fine when it comes down in the later game. It's just like a 4/6 body that quests for 2. But I do think the earlier you get it down, the more advantageous the effect is for you because it's going to be disrupting your opponent from maybe curving out as they would usually like to do. Oh,
This one is the belle of the ball right now, the Cinderella of the ball, if you will. And Kawa, you've had great thoughts. I heard you talking about this on Podcana. So are you dying to put this in a deck?
yeah, this card is oh good. I love this card, and I hope people are excited as well because I know there's a lot of people out there that have been talking about Amber Sapphire as a color in general. Previously it's kind of been this aggro deck within other metas, but we finally get the Amber Sapphire Princess deck. But the neatest thing about this card is that she can trigger herself, right? Because it's if you've played a princess character, not another princess character this turn. Yeah, I think this is a fantastic card. Also very notable that it's you could put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down to draw a card. So this is you guys can confirm this for me, right? But this is any card. This can be an uninkable card, or does it have to be an inkable card?
Correct. Yeah. It works like Fishbone Quill, or similar
Yes.
to, I should say.
Yeah, so it's like you're able to basically filter out your hand, replace like ramp, and then also draw a card. But this one, I'm curious. It seems super powerful, but I'm sure the balance was tricky to get right for this, Sam. Like, is it the type of card where should it be able to kind of trigger itself? Should the stats be lower? Should the stats be higher? Like, it seems like it's a tricky one to balance. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts if you can speak about it briefly.
Yeah, of course. I think the stats were the hardest part. It being able to trigger itself was an interesting conversation we had, but when we tested it without that, it was much less exciting, if you can believe that. But
I can believe it.
so
Yeah.
so playing it and having to wait a turn, just it doesn't quite feel like a legendary. It doesn't feel like I got my value's worth out of the card. So we kind of nixed that idea pretty quick. But yeah, the stats definitely were very. Mm, it was up in the air for a while. We decided that 2 strength was a very good number for it because you'll see soon in this set that 2 strength is a pretty big deal. But yeah, I mean it's a big balancing tool for us in this set, and then the 3 willpower we put on there. I believe it was so lots of decks would have an easy option to remove it from the board if it got out of control. So, and I'm sure as people can imagine, if you go turn 4 Cindy into turn 5 Cindy, or I guess it would be turn 3 Cindy because of Sail the Azurite Sea, turn 3 Cindy, turn 4 Cindy, you're going to be triggering Cindy twice on that turn 4 to ink 2 cards and draw 2 cards, which is very powerful. So, yep.
Oh, you said something
Yeah,
that has
also
the
important.
chat. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's also important to note that it is uninkable, and I will say that's something that wasn't very hard for us to decide.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a card of this power level that gives you like repeatable value and also kind of in a way like fast value, like as Sam was saying, like you can trigger it off of herself, so your opponent doesn't really get a great chance to interact with it before you've done it at least one time. So anytime we see a card like that, we're probably going to remove ink from the card because we think it's important for you to make some choices when deck building as to like what are your uninkable cards, and I think this one will definitely see play regardless of its ink status, but giving it ink just makes it too good across all of the axes that we judge a card by.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are powerful. You have the ability, you say just like one sentence in the chat is just absolutely Twitter pated with fear and anxiety about the strength and comment you said. So
Well, we're
I
gonna move
would.
on to the next card.
Cool.
okay, we don't have
Amazing.
time, guys. Next.
We gotta
Prince
get to card
Charming.
reveals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we gotta blitz through. I could speak about Cinderella a lot more, but we will blitz through. So yeah, Prince Charming, 7 cost, inkable, 3/10. That quest for 2 with Bodyguard, with the ability Protective Presence. Each turn, only one character can challenge. So I've reviewed this card. I think its effect is very worthy of the legendary rarity, but I feel like this is a card that you can play when you are in kind of an advantageous spot to maybe close out the game. Maybe you've got a decent board established, you play it, your opponent will really struggle to get through it. They can only challenge with one character. One thing I would like to speak about, if you guys can touch on it, is why you decided to do each turn only one character can challenge. So this does also affect you as a player, right? Not just your opponent.
Yep. So it does affect both players, and we do think that symmetrical effects, especially when it's something as powerful as this one, is reasonable. I think it's kind of a knob that we'll put on certain effects depending on how how powerful it is, obviously, and then two, just like what does the gameplay feel like. And so this sort of, steel kind of has the, like, you don't play a card, you can't do things. Steel is a little bit of a color or ink type that prevents you from the opponent from doing things. But when kind of playing this card, it just felt like pretty unfair to only have it be your opponent can challenge one time. And as you said, most of the time you're probably questing out to win anyway once you drop a big body card like this onto the board. So we felt like it was a reasonable kind of knob to turn here to make it feel like a little bit less of a negative play experience, because at least you're also operating under the same restriction as your opponent. And that's just something that we want to be careful of, because this card does say, like, don't interact, or don't interact as much as you want, and we want to be a little bit more conservative with those effects, because if they are too good, that can over time cause some issues. So it was kind of something where this is the first time we're doing an effect like this, and so we're really excited about it. We do think it's a really powerful card to drop late in the game, but we want to be a little bit on the safe side from time to time with things that can negatively impact play patterns.
Yeah, there are a lot of people saying they want board wipes, but it has been exciting in a world with no Be Prepared, where bodyguards do have a chance to shine as kind of a capstone on strategic play line, where you can go wide knowing that you're working up towards, like right now, a Pluto, but in this case, you could be working up to this Prince Charming. And you have to keep that in mind and respect that that could be coming at the end of the curve as a player, to play around it proactively. Oh, this one. This is exciting.
Card's good.
Card's
This
good.
card-
All right.
This card, it racks my brain, honestly, a little bit. Spoke about it a lot on the podcast with Tiago and Zach, and I just like how when you play this, you might get a good advantage if your opponent has a lot of cards in their hand, so you'll discard them down. But then instantly, this card will turn on you, and then if they have 2 cards or 3, they'll drop to 3. They'll dump their hand, and then they'll drop to 2. So I find this card super fascinating, and once again, I genuinely have to give credit to the design team. It's like super worthy of this legendary rarity. I love to see cards with super unique abilities in the legendary slot. So I'm sure there's some crazy cool decks you can cook up with this for sure.
Yeah, and we have many different people on the design team. It is really a team effort, very collaborative. So shout out to the rest of the team, everyone that worked on this set. I think the legendaries in this set are really flavorful and also like really powerful, and like that's a really good spot to hit when they're kind of both. But yeah, you totally called out, like, the patterns on this card are just like very, very interesting. Like it does feel like a big advantage if you play it, but it also can kind of come back to haunt you a little bit, since they will also be drawing until they have 2 as well, which is just it's really neat. I think this is, yeah, one of most interesting cards in the set, and I think it's played really well.
Yep.
It's
One of the funny interactions that comes up a lot with this card, and a card that we already looked at here, is the Hades legendary that says choose an opposing character, put it at the bottom, or draw 2. And a lot of the time, Amethyst decks, need to get rid of this guy. They got 5 cards in their hand. They don't want to discard at the end of the turn. And sometimes if their only removal is that Hades, it's kind of funny, because if they play that Hades, what are you going to choose for him? Are you going to make them draw 2 cards, or are you going to remove your Goliath? Obviously, you're going to make them draw 2 cards. So it is a funny interaction that makes that Haze a little bit worse too. But yeah, definitely a fantastic card. We love this Goliath.
very cool to see the identity of the inks with the steel, that there's upsides and downsides. And I think it's very cool seeing that be solidified as we move on through the game.
Yep.
That's a good segue into the next part, though it is kind of we've done the hour, so I think we probably don't have time for card reveals. I don't
Guess
know if you
that's
guys,
it, right?
See
Yeah,
you
we're done,
guys.
Richelle,
yeah,
right?
See
I
you
don't know if you
tomorrow,
guys
everyone.
can stick around.
It was good talking. Yeah. Yeah.
Safe travels.
Chat, can you guys stick around for card reveals?
You guys want to see some cards?
Oh, they might be busy. They might be busy.
All right.
So last year, or I guess this year, right? Time
Yes.
is a construct. There's there was this Goofy Emerald Champion convention promo, and a teaser for this set, but we haven't seen any of the other champions yet.
Our other
So
champions, what?
we're gonna go through all of them right now.
Oh, let's go.
Oh. Okay. I'm excited.
Oh,
All right, we're reading. Sorry, guys. You have to live react now.
Yeah,
Katie,
exactly.
read it out loud.
Mickey Mouse.
All right,
Amber
so we have a
Champion.
4. Yeah, oh yeah, you go. You got this.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So it's a 4 cost. It's inkable. A 2/5 questing for 1 here. And we have leading the way. Your other Amber characters get +2 willpower and friendly chorus. While you have 2 or more other Amber characters in play, this character gains Singer 8. So we got that solidification of the identities again, which I think is very cool.
this card is Rapunzel's Tower on a body. I think this card's very good. I don't know. I like this a lot. How was it for you guys? I guess we'll talk about the champions in general to be able to play around with that space of, you know, it's a new element of design that you guys are exploring within Lorcana. People for ages have been talking about, will we ever see, I guess, mono decks? And this is probably the closest thing we will see to it, or we have seen to it so far. And I really like the idea of like, yeah, if I want to play like a lot of Amber characters and maybe sprinkle in a few of another ink, or just go full Amber, these champions really take advantage of that.
Yeah, obviously the deck building rules kind of incentivize you to play 2 different ink types, and we are generally happy with that, but we do think it is fun to kind of upend a little bit of the expectation from time to time. And so this is us kind of dipping our toe in and seeing what the reaction is and seeing how the play patterns are. And, if it's positive, you might see more of it in the future. And if it's negative, maybe we chalk it up to an experiment that didn't quite work out. But it's really important for us to try out new things and to kind of see how it hits, because we do have a fantastic testing team, and Sam and the dev team do a fantastic job of putting the cards through its paces. But like, we are a relatively small team in comparison to the hundreds of thousands of players we have, and so it's important for us to make sure that what we think is cool also kind of resonates with the broader community, and that we are able to kind of be responsive to that as well. And so this is us kind of like exploring this space for the first time. We'll see how it goes. It was really fun to make these cards and to like figure out, as Katie was saying, like what is kind of indicative of these ink types, and like what kind of tells you like what this ink cares about. And so I think it's something that you could see in the future, and this does lend yourself toward playing like mono ink decks, but it probably doesn't get you all the way there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, there's one question that I think I know the answer, but people are saying, so will it apply when it says Amber dual link color? So the Troubadour is it going to
Yes.
apply to something? Okay, well
It
done.
will apply to dueling.
Yep, and you can even have multiple champions on the board for your dual link cards
Oh.
to double buff them, which is very cool.
But wait, there's more.
Now, for the development of this Mickey, we obviously wanted to make Mickey be very exciting. I know Kawa has said that he thinks this is going to be a very competitive card. I agree with him. It's a very strong card. Notably, he can sing Circle of Life by himself. He can sing Under the Sea by himself. And something to do that's fun with Circle of Life and this card is you can use let's say the Mulan from set 7, the 1 cost that draws a card, discards a card, you draw a card, you discard, let's say, Surfer Stitch. And then later on, you get this guy in play with 2 other Amber characters, you sing, bring back Surfer Stitch, and bam, you draw 2 cards and you have a 10 willpower Surfer Stitch. So yeah, and it gets pretty crazy when you got multiple Mickeys out there too, because for each one, that's +2 willpower.
Yeah, they stack, right? It's pretty cool.
Yep. But that 2 strength, note that for later.
Sam's dropping
Yeah,
these,
you're
these
scaring
hints,
us.
man.
Sam,
Yeah.
please. The chat can't handle it. They're freaking out.
It's gotta be, I don't know,
They're not
chat. It's
ready
gotta be
yet.
Ruby, right? It's
They're
gotta be
not ready
strength
yet.
based. Who knows? Who knows?
We have, I think,
I won't say anything
statistically,
more.
4 more champions. My math
So
is right
ready
on
for
how many inks there
Amethyst?
are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see.
Oh,
Mini, of course. So this is Minnie Mouse Amethyst Champion 4-cost inkable 2/3 the quest for 2 with the mystical balance ability. Whenever one of your other Amethyst characters is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card.
I think Amethyst likes drawing cards, guys. I'm feeling that vibe
Hmm.
here.
I don't know, Katie. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
it's
think
being very
being
different.
banished in a challenge?
Yeah, being banished or bouncing. We're drawing. Yeah, we're doing lots of things where it's advantageous to leave. I'm scared if you pair this with a Diablo and then suddenly you're drawing 2 cards when my Diablo gets banished. What if you're buffing up with the many or a tiny adversary? Don't do it. Just don't. But very exciting, very scary for the potential that this has with all the cards in Amber or Amethyst right now.
Yeah. Cool.
And you'll note that as well that like this only applies to your other characters, so it does not apply to herself. And that's because we wanted the champions to feel like they're helping other characters. So like that's consistent across the entire cycle of cards, is they are buffing your other characters of that ink type, and they are not buffing themselves.
All right. I'm ready for more.
I
Show
know,
me
right?
more.
Now we're kind of like you keep teasing exciting things, and I'm like, all right, Minnie, okay, and here we
Oh,
are.
here we are. Katie, you can read this one out if you want.
All right, I'm ready. It is a 4-cost, uninkable, 4/4, and we have the Ruby Champion of High Energy. Your other Ruby characters get +1 Strength and Powerful Reward. Your other Ruby characters with 7 Strength or more get +1 Lore. Questing for 1. We got some beefy. Ruby feels like the beefy beater of
Yep.
inks right now.
You got 2 questing Maui sharks. Pretty good.
Don't do it. Don't. That's my advice. Don't. If you're thinking about it, don't. It is exciting though, seeing that Maui might have some potential. Maui Shaft Shark was like the card, and he's been hiding. He's been in some deep waters, and with this, he might come back.
Yeah. No, I think this card's cool.
And I think it's very fun. So I know this is a game development main stage, but if you guys are looking, the pages around. I'm feeling like there's a theme. If you know the Sensational Six, I feel like we're hinting some flavor here of who the other champions could
Who
be.
are the
I
other
don't know.
champions?
This is the
But who
detective
left?
set. Let me
Don't know
detective,
what you
okay?
mean.
Detectivate, as Naomi and Greg would say, right? Yeah.
What do you think the next one is then?
And the next one should be Sapphire. Who do you think is Sapphire? I think we have Sapphire and Steel left to show.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if Pluto will be one, but I'll say Pluto, right? I'll say
It's
Pluto.
50-50. Is that or someone else who's quacking? Someone else who quacks me up, perhaps.
That is true.
Oh, this art is so good.
Daisy
my
with
God.
hair. It's always interesting here, but we have 5 costs. She is inkable, and we have a 5/6 questing for 1 of Stand Fast. Your other Sapphire characters gain resist 1, and then look ahead. Whenever one of your other Sapphire characters quest, you may look at the top card of your deck, put it either on the top or bottom of your deck. So that is, once again, it's like the hits. This feels like the greatest hits of each ink color.
And a reminder for all of these cards, they stack for each one of them. So whenever one of your Sapphire characters quests, if you got 2 of these in play, you get to look at the top card of your deck twice. They're going to have resist 2. Very powerful.
Put 4 in my deck now. That's all I'm gonna say. Put 4 in my deck. I'm playing this card. This is a 5-cost, like 5/6 as well. So like stat wise, this card is super solid. Gives everything else resist. This is like the Cogsworth of my dreams. This is like, I don't know. I think this card is fantastic. Honestly.
And
It's
this is where
powerful.
also like the new vanilla curve kind of comes into play, because previously if you were running a 5-cost 5/6 with a lot of abilities, and then you had a 5-cost 5/6 vanilla, you'd be like, why? Like now I can't even trade in. But remember, we have 5-cost 6/7 Cauldronborn, so like it does change the gameplay patterns having vanillas go over the top of cards like this now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there one more champion, or is there 2
Yeah.
more? There's
One
more,
more.
right?
And
It's
it's
a big
Pluto.
boy.
Has to be Pluto.
There's the boy. So this is Pluto, the Steel Champion, 5-cost inkable, 5/5 that quest for 2. During your turn, whenever one of your other Steel characters banishes another character in a challenge, you gain 2 lore. And whenever you play another Steel character, you may banish chosen item. Very, very interesting. So it's
It's
like
very fun to
Calhoun
see the
effect,
synergy.
right?
Yeah, Calhoun is like boosted to the moon. Once
Mm.
again, it's very scary because we see these cards that are menacing in each ink color, and now it's like augmented in a way that's very exciting.
Yeah, this one's a little bit like all your characters are Calhoun and Benja, right?
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah.
Maybe we should have just written that on the card instead of
Yeah.
In the text box, yeah. Cool.
So that is the Sensational Six. So confirmed. Everybody in the chat, Sensational Six, not 5-5. They let Daisy join the party. Is that a hidden Mickey on Pluto's paw? I don't know. This is all very exciting. I'm taking in so much information. It's overwhelming. But I feel like you guys have more.
So-
You keep hinting at
So
stuff.
I
If you don't,
have
we might
3
lose.
more card reveals here.
I'm ready.
Ooh.
We're gonna start with a common, but I think it's a really good one. At least in my opinion, I think it's a good one.
Okay. Let's have a look.
It is a good one.
Oh, it's
Someone has to
Basil.
read it
It's
though.
Basil and Amber. Let's go.
And I'm
And as a
sure
princess.
someone knows how to say this. And you know how to say
It's-
your name, Kawa, right? Because you do, and I.
Oh, Kim was telling me how to pronounce this.
Kim
Like,
is probably.
because she's been
Elo-
rewatching
I
the
think it's
Black Cauldron.
Ilanwi.
Thank
think
you,
it's
Sam. You
Ilanwi.
saved me. I don't have to say it. Yeah, there you go. Ilanwi.
A little bit better than Basil though, because she's a princess and you have that Aurora that's
Yep,
Oh,
that's been
definitely.
seeing play.
I'll take a free
You
Basil.
you can quest Aurora and put a free Ilanwi out.
Mm-hmm.
Aurora has
Yep.
been sensational in this format. So it is very exciting to see that, anything on a body, good. And so we have that kind of lantern effect on a body. And the more princesses, the more that it becomes non negotiable if you're running her in an Amber deck.
Good card. Give me 4.
Give me 4 right now. Put my order.
All right. What else have we got? Coldstone.
Coldstone.
So this one ended up in the set because it was something that Steve, who's a big fan of gargoyles, really wanted. I thought he was going to be on here, so I included it here, but still wanted to show it anyway in honor of Steve.
Yeah, the 5 cost on
Interesting.
Inkable, 5-4 questing for 2, and it has the actual word cantrips, like official. That's now a word that we can say. It's here, and it's the cantrips have been spoken. When you play this character, if you have 2 or more gargoyle characters in your discard, gain 2 lore. So the gargoyle synergy is on fire.
So
Something to
now
note,
whenever
though.
someone says this card cantrips, you know what it means. It means if you have 2 or more gargoyle characters in your
A
discard,
classic,
you lore.
the
That's
classic
right.
definition, I find. The clinical
I believe
definition
that
of
is the
cantrip.
classic definition, yeah.
Yes,
But
the
this is a
gargoyle cantrip.
gargoyle that doesn't have Stone by Day, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say this looks like a cyborg gargoyle, so I guess it wouldn't like have
What is
the
the
Stone
plot
by
of the
Day
show?
ability. Is that
Yep.
am I close in that
If you've
regard?
watched the show, you know, and you're pretty
Okay.
close.
Good.
Okay.
All right. I do like that the reveal season is also slowly revealing the plot of the show for me, which has been very thrilling as well.
I'm sure it's gotten a lot of people to watch gargoyles, right?
Yes.
Like for sure.
It is really
Yeah.
fun when you hear about people doing like little watch parties of stuff
Yes.
that they haven't seen because it's coming out in Lorcana. I think that's just really magical and
Mhm.
fun.
Absolutely.
we got one more reveal.
This better be the card Sam's hinting at the
Yes.
whole time. This better be
Otherwise
the
we can't
card.
leave.
It
We have
is
to stay on
not
the
the
call
card
until
that
it's
Sam's
done.
been hinting at.
Sam, please.
No,
Sam, the
Sam.
chat. They're scaring me.
But this is something that has been requested nearly every day
Every day.
Every day.
on our Discord by
Okay.
someone who is in this chat.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
All right.
Chat's gone
Oh,
crazy
here you
right
go.
now.
This one's for you. This one's for you know you are.
I know. That's so nice when it's like this goes
Oh,
out
they've
to.
guessed it.
Wait, is it?
Oh,
is
there
it
he
He's
is.
here?
finally
it's
here.
Mowgli. Let's
He's
go.
here. He's here. R&B rejoice. Is it R&B? Is he the man? The man with the
Okay,
Mowgli
I gotta
dreams?
read this quickly.
Riddim basically every day asks, "Where is Mowgli?" And he is finally here. So now we're
He's-
gonna get asked, "Where is what is it? Timon and Drag? Is that the next one?"
We have Kawa's like he's already moved on. He's like, okay, Mowgli's here, but we see real time reaction. We have Beanie grabbing. Kawa, what are we feeling? What report on the ground reporting? What are we doing here?
This card is bare necessities on a body, which is so flavorful for Mowgli as well. I think it's super cool. It's still like Jungle Book themed, but man,
Yeah, now it's of
this
their
is so
choice,
strong.
which is kind of nice at least because at bare necessities,
Oh, that's
watching them
true.
look at my cards and kind of peruse and decide. So it's that they get to pick, but it's non-character. And usually we're not running. I mean, most decks only run in your opening hand 1 or 2 non-characters, so it's still bad. Could be worse. Could be better. Or rather, it depends on what side you're on. But I kind of like those where like it's
I
powerful.
still think it's
Yeah.
I still think it's pretty good. I think it depends on how many playable songs are in the meta, how many playable actions
Exactly.
and locations and stuff. But I think at the right time, this is still
Yes.
going to be super effective. And now, if you want to, if you're playing like an Amber Sapphire deck, you can play a couple of Mowglis, but you could also play a couple of Ludwigs, and suddenly you've got you could have a potential 8 ways to disrupt your opponent's hand. So I think this is a good card. It's inkable as well. It's I mean, Ludwig's very powerful. It's uninkable, but of course it inks itself when it's banished. But I think Mowgli seems super solid. Or just basically reminds me a lot of the 2-cost Ursula with an emerald, except you sacrifice a willpower. You give your opponent the choice, but it's not just song cards. It's any non-character card. So overall, I think it's a super solid card, and I'm
And I
glad
think it's
Mowgli's in
gonna.
the game.
I'm very excited to pair it with, like an Ursula Deceiver where you get some information and you're like, let me come back for more. Because if they
Yeah.
only have one thing left, you can say, I don't need to ink this Mowgli. He is coming, and I know exactly what he's going to get after you got that initial information. So very fun for that discard flavor that we haven't seen a lot in this meta.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and something we do like to do is callbacks to previous cards. So, Bare Necessities is obviously the card in reference here, but he's still learning the ways of the jungle. So it's not your choice, it is their choice. It's a
Yeah.
slightly powered down version of Bare Necessities, and I think that flavor is just perfect for this card.
Yep. For sure. All right, I know what everyone's gonna have on their mind now is this card that Sam has been teasing. So for
Yes.
reveals that are happening, keep an eye out. We gotta if somebody figures it out, we gotta see on social media. This is the Sam card was talking. This is the card Sam was
Yes.
talking about for sure.
Oh, you'll
So
know.
you'll see what Sam is talking about tomorrow. If you
Okay.
tune in to the weekly Lorecast
Is that the
on
name of it? The weekly
twitch.tv/Disney
Lorecast will be called What Sam is Talking About?
What Sam meant.
Lorcana.
Oh,
And also, if you've been following along with the clues that have been going out, tomorrow is where you will get payoff for that. So, yeah, make sure to tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific. Kind of a lot of the remainder of the card reveals are going to happen there. And then, yeah, that's it for today, though. Katie, other than at the DLC this weekend, where can people find you?
Oh, well, you can find me over on YouTube and all the socials. You can find me at the Lorekeeper's Inn. And then, yeah, you'll find me. I'll be a little busy in Milwaukee, but I will be there. Very excited. And I cannot wait to see people in person. We're going to see people. We're going to be in person. Very, very excited. So I'll throw it over to you, Kawa. What about you?
yes, folks can find me over on the Podcana podcast on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm also just Kawa or Kawatech anywhere on socials. I will also be attending DLC Milwaukee, so if you see myself or Katie or any other content creators, definitely come up to us, say hi. I love interacting with the uh, NA community, coming over from Europe. It's so much fun. And also, I want to take this opportunity to wish Katie the best of luck and enjoy casting the DLC this weekend. I had the honor of being able to cast the one in Bologna, and it was a privilege. So I think you're gonna absolutely crush it. And yeah, I can't wait to play.
Yeah, I was watching you and Kim do the DLC for the first time. I was like, there you go. It's so that's my favorite part. So I love cheering on the community, and the community cheering on us. It's a circle of hype, and it carries us
Circle
all.
of hype. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lucas,
I've heard
Sam,
Mickey can
anything you
sing that
guys
one.
wanna? Oh,
Yeah, Mickey
sorry.
can now sing Circle of Hype. It's incredible.
Mickey can sing Circle of Hype.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can find me at your local game store in the Seattle area. I think that's about
Anything
it.
you guys wanted to say before we wrap up?
No, this has been really fun. It's great to talk shop with y'all. Great questions as well. Hopefully, we answered a lot of the things that the community is wondering about, and I look forward to doing this again in the future.
Yep. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining. Everyone remember, pre-release for Whispers in the Well is November 7th, with the full release on November 14th. And thank you. Stay tuned for the rest of the previews this week. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.